In this video, we're gonna run through how to get a blurry background in your videos, just like this one, known as the Bokeh Effect or the Bokeh Effect, and a ton of tips to help you maximize your results when you're playing with depth of field on any camera, whether it's a DSLR, an iPhone, an Android smartphone, or any other camera. Hey, it's Justin Brown here from Primal Video, where we help you grow an audience and scale your revenue with online video. If you're seeing value in this video, make sure you're giving it a thumbs up. It really makes a huge difference. And all the links to everything we cover in this video, you can find linked in the description box below. Let's jump into it. Okay, so depth of field or getting that blurry background look and to what extent you're able to blur the background really comes down to three main things. The first one is your camera's sensor size. So this is essentially the brain, the piece that is capturing the image, the light coming through your camera lens. It's the sensor that's really translating that or converting it into your photos or into your videos. Now it is a case of the bigger the sensor, the more information that's been able to get captured. So think of a webcam or a smartphone. They typically have much smaller camera sensors than bigger cameras like DSLR, mirrorless, or even pro level cameras. And that's a big part of why it's easier on those bigger cameras to get that blurry background look much easier. The second one is your camera lens, and specifically how much light your camera lens is able to let through into your camera sensor. So again, depending on which camera you're using and which lens you're using on that camera will also determine how much light is let through onto that sensor, giving you more or less of a blurry background. Now, outside of most webcams or smartphones where the lenses are fixed and not adjustable, the way that you can actually change or adjust the amount of light that's let in through your camera lens is by adjusting the setting for your aperture or your f-stop on that lens. So it's a case of the lower the f-stop number, the more light that's going to be let into your shot through onto the camera sensor. And therefore the higher the number, the less light that's going to be passed through, which means the shallower that depth of field or the less blurry the background is going to be. So for example, the camera that I'm using right now for this video is the Panasonic GH5. The lens that I currently have on it, I'm shooting at an aperture or an f-stop of f1.4. Now this particular setup will let me go down to an f1.2, which will give me a slightly blurrier background, but it'll also mean that if I'm moving forward or back a little bit, that could be the difference between having my face in and out of focus. But if I increase that aperture now and lower the amount of light that's coming into my shot, then you'll see the difference that it will change with the background and how much of it you can see. Okay, so here's exactly the same shot now filming at f4 instead of f1.4. So you can see just even that adjustment from 1.4 to 4 has made a huge difference as to what the background of the shot looks like. So a lower number, more light, blurrier background, a higher number, less light, but a lot more in focus. So the third thing then is how much separation you've got between the subject of the video, the person or whatever it is you're focusing on, and the background itself. The greater the distance, the more out of focus you'll be able to make the background. So if you're standing with your back right up against a bookshelf or right up against a wall, it's gonna be much harder to blur out that background because there isn't that distance or separation between yourself and the background that you're looking to blur. So the greater the distance between the background and the subject that you're focusing on in the video, the more blur or the shallower the depth of field can be in your shot as well. So to give you a quick example of this without changing any other camera settings, if I move closer to the camera, I'll have to manually focus, but if I move closer to the camera, then you'll see that the background gets blurrier when the camera is focused on me. Greater separation between me then and the background. So just by increasing that distance, we're picking up a lot more computer noise, but we're also able to blur the background so much more. So with that understanding now, for you to get that blurry background look in your videos, you really want to be applying as many of these things as you can as possible. So depending on what camera you're using, if you have the ability to adjust your aperture, your f-stop, then set it to a low number, f4, f2.8, f1.2 if you've got the ability to do it. Now by doing that, it is going to blur the background, but it is also going to make your shot a lot brighter. So you might need to then adjust your camera settings, your ISO or your shutter speed to try and darken your shot back down to where you'd like it. Another way that you can darken your shot back down or that you can film out in really bright conditions still at a low f-stop or low aperture is to use an ND filter, a neutral density filter, on the front of your camera lens, or even clip one onto your smartphone. These essentially act as sunglasses and darken your shot down, all without lowering the quality of your shot. Then, if you've got the ability to move yourself away from your background so that there is a greater distance between yourself or your subject of the video and the background that you want to blur out, then that will also give you a greater depth of field, or that blurrier background. Now, if the camera that you're using to record with doesn't have a low aperture setting or doesn't let in a ton of light, another trick that you could do is to move the camera further back if possible, and then zoom in on your shot. That's going to give you a much blurrier background as well. Having the camera zoom in, or using a zoom lens or a telephoto lens, will help you separate yourself from the background as well, giving you that blurry background look. Now, no matter which camera you're using, or whether you're using a webcam or even a smartphone, I would strongly recommend that wherever possible you are locking down your camera settings, specifically locking down your focus. The blurrier the background is going to be, some cameras can struggle finding that focus point, so that you might find your camera is constantly moving and adjusting in and out of focus. So just by locking that down, you're going to get a much more professional shot, because your focus isn't going to be hunting or changing throughout your video. Now, if you're using a webcam, most webcams these days will have some software that you can download and install to be able to lock down your settings and your focus as well. So I strongly recommend that you're grabbing that software for your webcam to lock down those settings, or if your particular webcam doesn't have any software, you can get aftermarket or third-party software to help you kick it into manual mode and to lock all of those things down. And I'll have links to a couple of those down in the description below. Now, with smartphones these days, pretty much all the built-in stock camera apps on our devices will let you lock down your focus and your exposure just by tapping and long pressing on the screen on what it is that you want to stay in focus and what you want to set that exposure for. But if you really want to unlock full DSLR-like settings on your smartphone, then that's where I strongly recommend Filmic Pro, so that you've got full control over everything. Now, there's one last thing that I want to mention in regards to smartphones and filming and getting that blurry background look. And that's that right now, at the time of filming this, most phones, even if they have that portrait mode where it's artificially blurring the background, most of those don't let you record videos in that mode. So the latest iPhone 12 doesn't let you do it. The Google Pixel 5 doesn't let you do it, but a lot of the Samsung phones will actually let you record video and have that background blurred. So if your phone has that capability, then that's another option for you. Or you can get apps like Focus Live on iPhone, which will essentially let you do the same thing. Create videos where the background is blurred as if you were taking your photos in portrait mode. Now, personally, I'm not a big fan of the fake blurry background look that you can get in some of these apps. I think they can work okay if you're going to have a static shot like this with not a lot of movement, but if you're someone that's out and walking around, then I think the results can be pretty average. So if your current camera or device then doesn't give you the exact look or the amount of blur that you're looking for, then that's where it might be time to look at an upgrade to something with a larger sensor, or a camera with an interchangeable lens, so that you can get that lower f-stop or lower aperture setting to let more light in and to get that blurry background look. But using these tips that we've covered in this video, it is possible to get that blurry background look, whether you're using a webcam, a smartphone, a DSLR mirrorless, or pretty much any other camera out there. So now that you've got your blurry background sorted, I've got two videos for you. One of them will help you with the best settings for your DSLR or mirrorless camera, and the second one will help you take your smartphone videos up a notch by using a third-party camera app, Filmic Pro, giving you DSLR-like settings right on your smartphone. So check out those videos, and I'll see you in the next one.